My name is Joe Rhoades. Welcome to High Top Sports Network. We are about to preview the Heritage Conference semifinals, and joining us today is West Shamokin head coach Judd McCullough. Judd, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Joe.
So right off the rip, Coach, tomorrow facing a familiar team, the Marion Center Stingers. You've seen them within this last week, so kind of share with me quickly what you expect in that semifinal game tomorrow against the Stingers.
Well, first of all, they're super well coached. I mean, Ralph has a tremendous coaching resume that is very distinguished. So, I mean, I'm up against one of the better coaches in the area, and I appreciate that. The first time we saw them, we didn't see Preston Fox. I think he's a wild card. He's very athletic. He's very gifted. He's someone that kind of gets them going. They had three really good guards up top and highlighted by Connor Fairman and the Peterson kid and TJ Lynn having a nice season. And the big kid inside, Petrov, am I going to say that correctly? I think is made a lot of strides. I mean, he's a force inside. He had, they are working at this point in time very hard for Ralph, and I anticipate a hard-fought game.
Yeah, what did you see from Marion Center? Obviously, you took the season series against them, the most recent one coming about a week ago now. What did you see from the Stingers as far as what they can do to maybe cause you guys problems and maybe cause other teams problems in general at this point in the season?
They get out, and they're very athletic. If we turn the ball over, which we've been very blessed to not do very much this year, really taking care of the ball, that's a token to our whole team really cherishing the opportunity to obviously put the ball in the hole and not give it up. But if we let them get out and run and pop the ball loose and we're loose with the basketball, they can generate some momentum. They have great athletes and they get up and down the floor pretty well. So that would be something we need to make sure we do is get back on defense and make sure we don't give up any easy turnovers or any long shots that we possibly miss, that we don't let that turn into easy baskets for them.
I know you're not the person to look too far ahead, but on the other side of the bracket, it's going to be United versus Penns Manor. As far as that game and any potential matchup you might face against those teams, kind of tell me what the folks out there might expect if they're to tune into that other semifinal game in the Heritage Conference.
I think it's going to be like the first two games. It's going to come down to the end. I think Penns Manor actually pulled away in the second matchup at Penns Manor. Both teams are well coached. Both teams play hard man-to-man, mixing up some zones from time to time. Very athletic, can score in multiple ways. They have all the pieces that you need to be a good team. And I anticipate that game being, down to the final couple minutes of the game and one of those great high school basketball games.
Certainly, Coach. I had a chance to talk to you about this the other night following one of our broadcasts that we were able and fortunate enough to cover out there at West Shamokin. Obviously you guys have had some wins, some wins by a large deficit. I think it is it 7 or 8, Coach, where you guys have had running clock in a game?
I honestly have lost track, but it's up in that ballpark. It's definitely 7.
And then right there, the fact that you've lost track really says something. But, with that in mind, and I asked you this question before, and maybe you've had even more time to think about it, now heading into the playoffs. But how do you kind of keep the guys focused whenever you guys are creating such large margins and are winning by such large deficits when it comes to this season?
It's been a difficult balancing act, and I would anticipate that's the same for a lot of coaches during this unprecedented year. You want the kids to have fun. You want them to enjoy practice and not come and think of it as work, although it's hard work. Don't get us wrong. As a coach, we always strive for perfection in a lot of ways. But to make sure that I pick moments at times that I feel like when we're maybe dropping into some bad habits to light them up a little bit or remind them that we have quite a journey ahead of us and we need to continue to get better. And really it comes down to this: every time we step on that court that's behind you there, that whether we're doing it for practice or we're doing it for a game, we have a chance to get better. And other teams are doing the same thing. And the teams that continue to focus every day on the little things and getting better, I think are the teams that are going to be successful down the stretch.
Coach, obviously you want to look too forward, but the big goal, and we've talked about this throughout the season, is what you guys are able to do when it comes time for the District 6 playoffs. The way it shakes out, you guys are going to have certainly some obstacles in the way when it comes to the district playoffs. But how do you guys kind of prepare now? Obviously, the practices, as you mentioned, have been kind of staggered. It's been hard to get in the gym at all times. So, how do you guys prepare for something that is ultimately, I think, fair to say, your biggest, if not, or one of your biggest, if not the biggest goal you guys have as far as winning a district championship and competing hard in the district playoffs?
No doubt. I think I've talked to coaches in the Heritage, and we're all fortunate to have so many easy accesses to streaming like you guys and NHS. Those types of sites have allowed us to be able to see multiple games. Like last night, I was watching Bishop Carroll versus Bishop McCourt. We might not even see. We definitely won't see Carroll. We don't. We might not see McCourt. We might. So I mean, I'm just watching a lot of basketball. I watched the United game last night against Salzburg. As a coach, we're basketball junkies. So yeah, every game you're just picking up some things and finding tendencies just in case down the road. But, ultimately, yes, you're preparing for down the road. You have to start that process because there's not going to be a lot of time. But ultimately we have to, the old cliche, we have to focus on what's in front of us because there's no doubt about it. The Marion Center has played a lot of basketball through the years. This is a good group. This is a group that I think they've looked at. I don't know their history obviously as well as you, but probably since your times as one of those, the Connor Fairman team and the group around him to be that type of special group. And I think they have the ingredients to put it together. And we can't rely upon the fact that we beat them twice and that we've been doing so well to let us into a false sense of security. It's a balance between being confident in ourselves, but also respecting our opponents and being humble.
You're certainly no stranger to the postseason. You've taken teams to the postseason. I've been fortunate enough to cover a lot of those teams. This team in particular, obviously, is a little different considering there's a big zero on the back end of that record. So describe not only what it's like for you to be heading into this part of the season with that perfect record, but also not just that, but this is an unprecedented year. There are so many differences that we could probably expound upon for hours that make 2020, 2021 so different. So talk about how different being at this stage of the season is with a team that has a perfect record and also with the circumstances you guys have had to overcome.
I really try not to focus on it. It's something the kids and I don't bring up. We bring up the fact that we're having a good season. We're proud of, our success. The perfect part of it, it's perfect in the sense of wins and losses, but it's far from perfect in the sense of things that we need to get better at. So focusing on moving forward, I think that we just need to appreciate the opportunity we have and almost start with a clean slate. And even know that we can be excited and impressed or not, definitely not like appreciative of where we have gotten to at this point in time, which has earned us home court advantage in both the Heritage and District 6. And that means a lot. So it's not for all for naught. But right now it's clean slate. And we have to be as hungry as we've been all year if we want to get to the goals that we want to get to.
Certainly, Coach, when you do get to the District 6 playoffs, the competition is inevitably going to be tough. How do you prepare for that? You guys might not be as deep as you've been in the past. You're from 5 through 6 or even 1 through 5. 1 through 5 or 1 through 6, you might be the strongest you've ever been. But how do you kind of prepare for this, knowing that you might not have as much coming off the bench as you have in years past, and making sure those guys that are so important in the starting five don't get too winded, don't get too exhausted? How do you prepare and plan for that? And what have you maybe done in the past here throughout the season to prepare for something like that?
Yeah, it really, for instance, the last two nights, we spent a large part of it watching on video, and we have in the past, but I've put that on their shoulders with huddle that we've had. I just felt like we needed our legs needed rest, and we battled so hard and we played so many games in such a short amount of time, and so that's been my thought process in the past. Heck, the last 2 years we had like 14 days in between the Heritage Conference semifinals or championship game until we played District 6. So I think we had 2 scrimmages in between. We had some pretty intense practices. So this year it'll be different. We have tomorrow night. If we're fortunate enough to win, then there's Saturday, and then we get back at it Wednesday, which I like that. That's still enough practice time. I think we'll probably, in that case, go hard after it for a day or so. But, Tuesday leading up into Wednesday's first round matchup, whoever that may be, we're going to definitely be careful and make sure that we're well rested and as fresh as we can be moving into that game.
I think we've documented it in games past, post-game interviews that we've had, talking just freely amongst ourselves. There is a lot of uniqueness about this team, and there's a lot of different variables, skill sets, things that make this team absolutely unique. So discuss maybe where this team was prior to the season when we were having those earlier conversations right after that stoppage in December, where the team has gone from then until now.
They've made great strides, but it's not at all surprising to me where we're at this point because of the kids that I'm blessed with. I mean, the pre-season talk was, I mean, you could tell I was glowing. This group is a special group, and I've been fortunate enough in with the golf seasons and basketball to be a part of a lot of special groups for many years, and this one ranks right up there. It's a group that brought back a lot of experience, a lot of talent, but man, they have great chemistry together, and it's very apparent on the court. Where I'm sitting right now, actually, not that long ago, they had a get together where they're laughing and playing board games, and I'm upstairs watching basketball, and it made, in this crazy time, my heart, dad, feel the heart in me as a dad feel good to hear them, not just and the coach in me as well, just to hear that kind of laughter and this kind of time. They truly do care for each other. They're not all best friends, but there's a lot of them that are pretty darn good friends, if not best friends for sure. And it's a fun ride. It's a special group where we're balanced so much that, obviously Trevor is such a special player, most likely the best player in the conference, but the guys around him, and give credit to Trevor, he's a willing passer. I mean, he's had like 5 or 6 assists the last couple games. He, I think, appreciates the fact he has that balance around him. And every given night, anyone could be our leading scorer, and that's really saying something. Others top 6, right. And that's not many teams have that right now. And I know I don't think I've ever had that. So that's special, that you can't really focus on one guy, and they do such a great job of sharing the basketball, and they seem to enjoy that, and they play with great synergy. I'm super proud of them.
Yeah, and funny enough, I shared that story with you the last time I'd seen you, that a couple of your players were giving me some grief about my Marion Center jacket that I wore there on a dare, of course, not on purpose, not for any other reason, but I just love that about those
guys. You at least fit in yours still. I don't think I'd still fit in mine. The old Chinook Valley, no.
You're the second person to tell me. An unfortunate fact about it is it's one of the more comfortable coats I own.
Is that right? Yeah.
Too bad I have to put it back up in the closet where it was 15 years, just hanging there. So. But it was just interesting how those guys had had fun. And while Trevor was giving it to me, then Jack jumps on and asks if I'm ready to take him on in golf. It was just a neat dynamic that I don't think I've experienced from guys. And it kind of showed the close-knit nature of that group that you kind of just mentioned. It is very unique. And it's that one element, I think, to a team that can be sneaky helpful when it comes to the playoff time. There are a lot of talented teams, but a team that's that close, I think, has that extra element, that extra little je ne sais quoi, if you want to call it that, that make them kind of dangerous. And that's the one thing I think that stands out most about you guys.
Yeah, it's a gift for sure. And the guys are ultra competitive too. So they found that balance in years past, and they were younger, where they still had a lot of that. They're all alpha personalities, at least most of them are, I would think. And they have clashed, and they butted heads in practice. And the practices have been dialed down this year because we've had to be careful with their legs. But in years past, we've had some pretty tough battles in there. But at the end of the day, they have great, in a sense, resilience, in the sense that their friendships are so strong that I've at least perceived that they're able to bounce back and just laugh about it and get on with it, understanding that that's what's going to happen in competition. So not only are they great competitors, but I think they have a trust in each other and an element of deepness in the relationships and trust that I do hope continues down the stretch, because when you hit the playoffs, adversity really kicks in at times. There's that little extra excitement and anxiety. And if teams that start to feel that too much and don't continue to rely on their teammates can start to put too much on their shoulders, and then the team dynamic breaks down. You see it all the time. It happens at all levels, and it's happened to us in the past. And I hope this group is more insulated in that regard from that fact because of their close relationships.
Absolutely, Coach. Well said. I'll leave you off on this one. If I'm talking to you in a month from now, What will you guys, to reach those goals that were discussed earlier in this conversation, for you guys to reach those ultimate goals? And if I'm talking to you in a month from now, maybe some of those goals, if not all of them, have been accomplished, what will you guys have done to assure that that has happened?
We want to win the Heritage Conference. We want to win District 6. And I would like to see us make a strong run in the state playoffs and really continue to put West Shamokin's basketball programs on the map, like Frank was able to do a couple years ago and follow suits, and Coach Nagy in years past with the boys group. I just want to follow in that great tradition and kind of put us on the map for this group, make our mark. And I'm excited to see that happen.
Well, Coach, I'm not breaking any news to anyone, but I think you had a big part in that just a couple months ago with what you guys were able to do on the golf course. Certainly adding another bit of hardware to the trophy case there at West Shamokin, and some great accolades, certainly for Jack and Eric in particular, that team as a whole. And, whether or not some of these things that you guys are certainly capable of do happen, you have done so far this year. So,
thank you.
That is certainly the case, and congratulations for that. I talked about that back before basketball season started. It's a great accomplishment in itself, and it's amazing what West Shamokin has really done here in just a couple years in the Heritage Conference in District 6.
Yeah, I mean, what I told him, and I think I brought up in your broadcast last, so we talked that this team's built for this. I mean, they've done it in soccer, they've done it in volleyball, they've done it in obviously golf. They've done it in basketball. Our girls paved the way to the Final Four a couple years ago. We're and I'm girls volleyball. I'm missing sports, and I apologize if I leave one out. But we are starting to make our mark. And I said, going the whole way back into some of their top level AAU days. I mean, with Coach Hutch. I mean, this team is built in such a variety of ways to be a championship team. Now, so are other teams, and we'll see how it all plays out. But I'm excited to see them get the chance to make their mark, and I think they're poised and ready to do so.
Again, well said, Coach. Well, thank you so much for the time. Best of luck tomorrow. I was going to point over my shoulder and say that we had your Marion Center broadcast happening right there that we did last week. I was going to point that out before I mentioned that we're going to be there tomorrow to do the broadcast again against Marion Center. But apparently my TV decided to shut down. So
yeah, it just did, because I was watching. I was making sure I was being nice to the referees so that I can get some good love in the playoffs, because sometimes I get pretty passionate.
Oh, certainly, but wouldn't have it any other way, and nor would anybody else. So thank you so much, Coach. Thank you for making the time, and look forward to seeing you tomorrow and catching another one of your games that have been so much fun for us already to do.
Hey, thanks a lot. I appreciate everything you guys do.
Thank you, Judd. And for West Shamokin head coach Judd McCullough, my name is Joe Rhoades. Thank you for tuning into High Top Sports Network. We'll see you again.